and welcome to the Maker Studio. My name is Karen, and today we have several tutorials for you on how to use Sharpie markers to dye your kinky yarn. It can give some really great results, including like a gradient, as you can see here, multicolors, lots of awesome fun things. When we did our video, we realized that it got really long. It got to be like 20 minutes long. So we edited it down and it was still like 13, 14 minutes long. So we decided to go ahead and create two videos. One video is 2 minutes long. It just gives you the basics on how to do this method. So if you're the kind of person who likes to experiment on your own, we recommend that you watch tutorial number 1. If you want to have more details and you want to experience a little banter between Kyle and myself as we experiment with the yarn in front of the camera, then please do watch tutorial number 2. Right now, you are watching tutorial number 2, and if that's what you want, please stay tuned. Hi, I'm Karen.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're here together at the Maker Studio so that we can show you some more ways to dye our new yarn.
Kinky Yarn.
Yep, so we're gonna get kinky and experiment today. And this truly is an experiment today. So I don't even have anything knitted out of this piece yet, but I thought I would give it a shot with Sharpie markers. See what we could do with Sharpie markers.
Okay.
Exactly. So you've got one of these here. You've got a coil of kinky yarn, and in this case, we're actually gonna uncoil it. So if you want to cut it open.
Yeah, and you can use regular scissors. It just happens that we have strange scissors today. So you can just cut it open. And the yarn is, as we've probably said in other videos, a superwash merino that is really lovely and fluffy. And it's called a single. It's just one single twist of yarn. It's one ply.
Correct.
It's called a single.
Yep, one ply.
So, okay,
All
we've
right.
uncoiled it.
Okay, we've uncoiled it. So now what you've got to do is you've got to pick out some Sharpie markers.
Okay, so
And-
looks like you used greens and blues.
I did use greens and blues, and I'll show you a photo. This is a photo.
And this is me choosing yarn. So I will do, this isn't a yarn, choosing
Colors.
colors.
Colors, yeah.
And also, like, I have no idea what's going to happen. So let's do 3. I'm going to do 3.
Awesome.
All right, but what I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, well, we can do it together. So what we're going to do is take a color, and basically you're just going to draw on the yarn. So
Oh, okay.
when I made this piece here, I actually did it, and I was watching the news or something. Anyways,
Okay.
very simple. Just take your Sharpie and start coloring the yarn.
And it's just a permanent marker.
It's just,
Any
this
permanent
is just a permanent Sharpie marker.
Okay.
And you just do a little drawing. If you notice, you get some of the little floozies on the end.
Yeah.
So what you can do, so you don't get your fingers full of Sharpie, is you can just use a paper towel to take the floozies off every once in a while.
No floozies on your kinky yarn.
And you just paint however you want. And you can mix colors in. Like if I go from red into orange, it just goes like that. We won't do the whole piece. We don't want to bore people here. We just want to show them a little bit of how it's done.
So it's better to have newer markers for this.
Yeah,
But you're gonna-
really old ones aren't going to work so well. Yeah,
Because you want lots of color, but they're not going to necessarily be in good shape once you're done with this whole thing.
no, it's not going to. They're not going to be in that great a shape. Only because you get the little
Floozies.
floozies. Yeah, you get little floozies on it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do both sides.
Oh. Twice the fun.
So, well, we don't have to do both sides at this moment. We can actually see what happens if we do it like this. Maybe just put a little more color in
I
here.
want to try coloring in one of these dots.
Okay. And do some blue in there.
Yeah, why not?
Cool. Well, then I'll do a little more here so that we have something going up here.
Maybe I want to do this.
There we go.
No, I want to color a little here.
Well, you can get as creative as you want. There you go.
So, how long did it take you? You said you were watching the news, and here I am pulling another color. You were
Yeah,
watching the
I was
news.
watching the news. I mean, I think the whole thing took me about a half an hour to paint both sides.
Okay.
Or to draw on both sides. But I did it very, very simple. I took like a green and a blue and a teal. Like I took this color and this color and this, oh, maybe it was that, yeah, those are the same. And the green, and I mixed those together in here. And as my final result, you can actually see how like some of the
How they
bluer
kinda-
areas,
yeah,
bluer, yeah,
okay.
and some of the greener. And I'll explain to you, I've got some little sample pieces to show you what actually happened after I did it.
So we're not going to do this whole thing.
No, we're not going to do this whole thing. We just want to show the general idea for the time being.
And also a little friendly reminder,
Yep.
this just got all over my table.
Yep, but
But
glass
this
tables
is-
are great because you can wash anything off of them.
So I'm just going to wash it with my...
Well, it probably won't come off now, but
Nope.
we'll get it later.
That's okay.
Okay, so the whole key to this, and if you do both sides, you don't have to worry about the edges, all right? Because the color is actually going to transfer. If you notice on this piece here, there are no white edges, and that's because all the color transferred.
Okay.
So your next step is using, guess what you're going to use, do you know?
Well, there's a bunch of alcohol sitting here, so I'm going to go with
Yeah.
alcohol, but not the drinking kind.
No, not the drinking kind. Nope, nope. We're going to use rubbing alcohol.
Okay.
So rubbing alcohol that's 90% is usually the best way to go. I think this one is 70%, although 70% still works. And now what you're going to do, well, I'll give you that bottle.
Okay.
You're going to spray your piece with the rubbing alcohol. And you actually really want to saturate it. And you will notice that after you saturate it, the color will actually sink in to your piece.
So this smells.
It does smell.
It
yeah,
is.
It smells.
You probably want to do this in a ventilated area outside if it's...
And actually, and if you have a little bowl or something, oops, this one's not open, because it takes a long time with the spray bottle, but if you want to have a controlled atmosphere, you can do that. Otherwise, you could actually just put it in a bowl and just dip this stuff in there. If you notice when I go like this,
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
notice the colors start to blend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And oops, I didn't do this in very well. We'll do that too.
I want to try something while you're...
Yeah.
While it's wet, I'm going to just
Yeah, it would be really good.
see what happens when I draw on
If we
it.
had a little more air in here, we're gonna get high off
We're
of
gonna be-
alcohol.
So,
Yeah, you can put more color in.
so I just added more color while it was...
So now you can see though how the color's starting to blend, and you can see where you made it heavier and where you made it lighter, the different colors. You can play with it a little bit to make it soak, you know, that way. And if you had, see
Look
how
at
some
that.
of it comes to the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's already
And see,
transferred.
your edges are already getting
Super
color
cool.
on it, so, which is pretty cool. Mine is not quite so much, so it depends
Well, here,
on...
use my wet towel.
So it depends on, you know, how much color you actually want to have.
Yeah. And it is getting on my hands.
Yep,
so
it
that's
does.
something to...
And I do have rubber gloves. I
Yeah.
just forgot to, we
whatever.
forgot to put them on. Rubber gloves are a good thing, yes. So
It won't
once,
hurt you, but it's going to make your skin really dry.
well, yeah, and not only that, it's going to color your skin. The Sharpie marker does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
come
then
off
people
very
will be like,
easily.
well, what did you do last night? And you're like, playing
I
with
got
Kinky
kinky.
Yarn. Yeah, I got
Okay.
Kinky.
I got kinky. Okay, so basically you're going to do this whole thing.
Okay.
And then you're going to put it in your sink. And you are going to, I don't want to get my hands all dirty right now. You're going to actually squeeze out all that alcohol.
All the alcohol.
Yep,
Okay.
you don't need that alcohol anymore.
So you
okay?
at that point you could use like plastic wrap or something to hold on to it, maybe.
Yeah, or if you have rubber gloves.
Or rubber gloves.
Rubber gloves are great, yeah. Rubber gloves work really great. And you just squeeze out the excess alcohol.
Okay.
Then you're going to hang it in a place for it to dry. And you want to put it somewhere where you don't have to breathe it because honestly it does smell. So you're going to hang it up to dry.
And also, is it flammable?
I probably would not smoke around it.
So maybe.
I probably wouldn't light a match.
Yeah.
either.
So don't put it, over your
Near a
fireplace,
fireplace,
or
no.
like in on your stove to dry.
That's a good point.
Um,
Very good point.
just a dry environment.
yeah, a dry, yes.
Dry, non on
Correct.
fire.
And also, it will still drip a little bit, so you want to hang it somewhere where you've got plastic on the ground or something, because otherwise it will drip on your floor. I put it actually above my bathtub, and I got a little bit of a green bathtub, so...
You put another coil of this under it and
it's-
let the color drip on it, and
Well, you could do that too. You could, you know
you've
what?
got another.
You can experiment, have
idea.
some fun, do whatever you want. So that, oh, but look, see, the more it soaks, look at that, it's giving some really cool patterns. Now, the patterns aren't really going to make a difference now because when you knit it, it's all going to look different.
Right,
anyways.
because this is a tube.
This is a tube,
Yeah.
exactly, and you're going to knit it off the tube. So, but you do want to let this dry. the alcohol will probably take a solid 24 hours to evaporate, and maybe even a little bit longer, for this actual piece to be ready to take it to the next step. Once I had it all dyed, this is what I ended up with. So this looks really cool because all I did was different stripes of blue and turquoise, as you saw in the photo that I showed you. And this was my end result. Now the only problem is that the color isn't really color fast. So it was like, what do I do next to make it color fast? I tried using an iron, and this piece actually was ironed for a little bit. And I don't know if it actually worked because I wanted to let it sit a little bit before I tried rinsing out some of the color. But you can see how the color looks here. The inside of my coil is a light green, and then the outside is sort of like green and
darker,
darker blues and so on. So I've got some clear water here, and I just wanted to see if my ironing actually worked or if my color's still going to come out. I noticed that when I rinsed it to get color out, there was a point where it stopped. So, and it wasn't so bad. But you're not going to want to take it off the coil to rinse it. So you're going to want to rinse it in the coil. And so there is color coming out. I don't know, obviously ironing doesn't help because it's not stopping.
So did you try other?
I did. I tried other methods as well.
Okay.
What you've got over here,
Yeah.
this one actually worked from what I can tell. So this one I actually did the old trick of vinegar and salt. So I put vinegar and salt in a bowl, and then I stuck it in there for about 15 minutes, and you can see how much color came out. It wasn't a lot of color that came out. However, you can see that the tone changed. Look at, this is more turquoisey, and the other one's more green. Yeah. So it
so like different colors of marker might work better than others.
And also, I think some of it also has to do, I think the vinegar, when it sets with the Sharpie, makes it a little bit different. But I do believe when I rinsed this one out this morning after using the vinegar, this one didn't lose any more color. So, so the vinegar actually works. Now notice how I'm keeping it in the tube all the time, the knitted piece. That's because technically, if you start pulling it apart when it's wet, you're going to end up with roving at the end.
It starts to just fall apart, sort of. So that single that we had mentioned is...
Because now watch, when it's dry, and you will run into places where, oops, it sticks. Oh, I tied a knot in it, that's why. This was the bottom end of it. So if I take it out, it'll work though. There we go. When you unwind it, now you can see it's still twisted and you can actually knit with it. So do not open it up or unwind it.
Yeah. So while it's wet, you don't want to take it apart because when you do, the fiber has an opportunity to relax and it turns into fluff.
Yes.
Which, if you spin, that's not terrible. If you do felting or art felt, you could still use the product. So all of this experimenting, at the end of the day, we still end up with the same quantity of fiber. And now we've added color to it, but we don't exactly know what's going to happen to the color when we treat it. So even the one that's a complete fail could be rinsed and rinsed until it runs clear. Add vinegar, little salt, vinegar to set what's left. And then you could go back onto it with something else.
And it was when I actually, after I did it too, I ran it between some white towels to see if any color came off, and hardly anything did. So the vinegar set it really, really nicely. So the answer to this one is?
It is...
vinegar and salt.
Vinegar and salt.
Vinegar and salt will actually set the Sharpie marker. And then you can get yourself some kind of a, I don't know what you want to call this. It's almost like an ombre.
A fan would be a nice thing to have. Get yourself a nice fan. It is a little alcohol-y in here.
So,
But look how cool it is.
It is, it's very cool. And so if I, now I need to set this piece, I just cut little pieces off to see how it would work. Now I'll set this piece and we'll make something out of it. And you notice if you would knit with it like this, you're going to get blue hands. You'll be a Smurf. So, yeah, awesome. So that's another way, using Sharpie markers.